You're tuned into VFC TV, and this is the Mental Health Awareness Seminar, brought to you, of course, by Vandraza FC, Akwa Ibom, Nigeria, Africa, and the world. Well, it's good morning in Nigeria, I suppose. Of course, good afternoon in New York and America, and good evening in China if you are watching us from that part of the world. I'm George Essien, your anchor for this seminar. A keynote speaker has been Coach Dennis. And just before the break, we're talking about, it's been dominated by stress. You need to talk a lot about stress. You were just talking about how to catch a lot of sleep, just before the break. So let's continue from there. But before you go on, let's remind you, Coach Dennis is taking your questions right after this presentation. So make sure you're dropping them quickly so that you could be one of those that will get your questions answered. All right? Coach Dennis is... Coach Dennis Agbeti, well, in case you're just joining us, is a psychotherapist, a behavioral change specialist, and a certified peak performance coach. And the reason we're doing this, of course, is based on the current realities in our society. And Vandraza FC has decided to just take this time out so that we can enlighten ourselves and check ourselves as well. So, Coach Dennis, it's back to you.
So, before we went on break, we're talking about how you can manage stress.
That's right.
And before I continue, I'm reminded of a story, and this story is going to illustrate the reason why you must learn how to manage your emotions, manage your stress level, and also master your emotions. It's very, very important. There was this fight that happened some years ago. The fight happened, I think, some years ago between Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. Rumble of the Jungle.
Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah, Rumble of the Jungle. And at that time, George Foreman was the heavyweight champion, undefeated. And Muhammad Ali was doing fine, was just coming up. But I think he had even lost some matches too already. I can't remember. Yeah. But I know George Foreman was the best, undefeated.
That's right.
By all means, he had all the advantage. Muhammad Ali was the underdog for that match. Completely, he knew, people were like, he was not going to win by any standard. So, but during the match, and George Foreman had a record that you can't survive the 8th round. Either he knocks you out before the 8th round or during the 8th round. But surprisingly, during the match, Muhammad Ali survived the 8th round and knocked out George Foreman.
That's right.
So at the end, so people were noticing something that Muhammad Ali was doing during the fight. So at the end of the fight, they asked him a question like, how did you do it? And he said something very profound, and I don't want you to forget this. Don't forget what I'm about to say. Muhammad Ali said that he understood that he couldn't beat George Foreman physically. So this is what he did. During the fight, as they were fighting, anytime Muhammad Ali had the chance to have his ear go close to his mouth go close to George Foreman's ear, you know what he was saying? He was saying, I sting like a bee. I float like a butterfly. Is this all you've got?
That's right.
So what he was doing, he was provoking George Foreman from the beginning of the match. So George Foreman was not emotionally intelligent. He was getting angry. He lost control over his emotions. I remember I told you, when you lose control over your emotions, you begin to lose what? Energy. So during the match, he became very furious. So he was dissipating all his energy because he was angry. He lost control over his emotion. By the time he got to the 8th round, he was tired. He was exhausted. Beyond that, he has already lost guard. He became fighting. And that was how Muhammad Ali knocked him out. And yes, the lesson here. Whoever controls your emotions, control your life. Whoever and whatever controls your emotions, control your life. Muhammad Ali was able to control the emotions of George Foreman. And that was how Muhammad Ali was able to knock him out. Wicked people know this. They know that they can't catch you until they get you to lose your emotions. So they will keep provoking you. They will keep, someone that is wicked will know, so as long as you lose control, you are gone. You lose spiritual energy, physical energy, emotional energy, sexual energy, when you lose control over your emotions. And you can control your emotions. People say something like, I can't help, I can't control. You can actually. It's something you can learn, right? Something you can practice. It's called practice. Because you may probably not get it once, but the more you begin to, and this is why it's an awareness. We are making you aware of there's something called emotions. How you feel, you become aware of it. Part time, you must know that, okay, now I'm getting angry. Okay, I need to calm down. I need to relax. All right. So that's what we need to learn, to control your emotions. So back to stress management, how you can manage. Remember we said that stress is most time a trigger for many mental health issues, right? Stress most times is a precursor to anxiety and it's a precursor to depression. And we said that stress actually affects your health, your physical health, your behavior, your mind, your emotions. It affects every part of you. And you need to now begin to learn how to manage your emotions. And we are using this bucket model, this stress bucket model, to illustrate how you can manage and master your emotions. We said that these things are pointing to your mind, your body. This bucket here represents your mind or your body. And these things you are seeing on your screen, right? Lack of sleep, too much training, a wicked boss or a wicked senior that is putting stress on you, demand of work, bills, finances, they are putting pressure on you. Your landlord is putting pressure on you. You will not pay your rent. Even you say landlord, COVID, now understand, say COVID day. Landlord say, no, you must pay my rent. Your wife, your children, the bills are piling up and you feel overwhelmed. If you don't open the tap of your mind, by engaging in yoga, I've explained yoga, meditation, taking time to rest, and that thing you can do is to relax. Laugh. Laughter is a way you can reduce stress. You want to be mentally healthy, you have to take time you have to laugh. Why is laugh important? You don't need to laugh only when you are amused. At times, this will be happening that like attract me, and all you just do is just laugh. Why? Laughter releases some chemicals in your body called dopamine. It's called a happiness chemical, right? So when you laugh a lot, there's chemical released in your body, right? So sometimes you just laugh. So if you know you cannot laugh alone, watch comedy. Take time to laugh. Laughter is good. Friends, spending time with friends. Spending time with your loved ones. If you don't like, okay, my friends, I don't like spending time with my friends. Your family. Spending time with someone you love. Spending time with children. Why is it important? It releases a particular healthy chemical called oxytocin. Oxytocin is a happiness chemical, right? So when you spend time with people you love, your friends, you spend time with your family, your wife, your girlfriend, you spend time with someone you love. I'm not even saying sex now. I'm saying just spending bonding time. There's a chemical released in your body called oxytocin. All right? So it relieves you of stress. Exercise. You want to be mentally healthy? Spend time with friends. You want to be mentally healthy? Take time to rest. It doesn't even mean sleep. What do you do to catch fun? For some of you guys, you go to watch a football match. Yes, you can come to watch Van Dresser play ball. Watch us on TV. Whatever you do that makes you relax. For some people, watching sport does not make them relax. It even gives them more anxiety because you are so emotionally attached. One of the things I encourage sport lovers, when you are watching football and your team is losing, you must be aware that you need to respond to even that loss better. Learn to interpret loss and respond better. Exercise. You want to be mentally healthy, you need to exercise is good. It releases a chemical called, I think the chemical is serotonin in your body and dopamine also, right? The more you exercise, spend time in exercise, all right, get physical, right? I told you your body, your mind and your emotions are connected. The stronger your body, the more you exercise your body, the more you are exercising your mind also. Right? Whatever is happening to your body is happening to your mind. Exercise releases good chemicals in your body, right? Happiness chemicals in your body. It also strengthens your mind, right? Get physical. One of the ways to overcome depression and anxiety is exercise. Spend time exercising. At least exercise 3 times in a week. All right? 3 times in a week. Exercise is very important for your mental health. Eating healthy. So we're talking about how to manage your stress level and how to be mentally healthy. One of the ways we said is meditation, mindfulness meditation. We said rest, taking time to rest, taking time to relax. We've mentioned laughter. We've mentioned spending time with friends. We've mentioned exercise. And that thing is eating healthy. You can't eat a big bowl of eba at night. And you say you feel stressed. You overload yourself with sugar, alcohol, too much of alcohol. Your body system gets disorganized. So you want to be mentally healthy, reduce your intake of alcohol. Reduce your intake of certain substances. Reduce your intake of sugar. Right? Eat well. Now, when we talk about eating healthy, there's what we call the acidic and alkaline balance. Right? Your body is a balance of acid and alkaline. Sicknesses and diseases thrive in acidic environments. So you that contain much acid, sugar food contain more acid, right? But foods like vegetable, they alkaline your body. They make you feel better, more healthy, all right? They help your brain work with. See, mental health issues are actually biological and structural imbalances in your brain, right? So when you eat better, you are helping those balance. You are helping those your mental or your brain structures, right? Eating healthy, take more vegetables, take more fruits, reduce your sugar intake. When you eat too much carbohydrate, okay, take for example, at night you load yourself with akpu or whatever you eat, ever struggling, you can't even sleep. How can you respond better to life when you are you eating too much? Right? Eat healthy, all right? Eat healthy. Sleep. In Nigeria, yeah, even in your sleep, people are fighting. Why are you fighting? You have to take time to sleep. All right? 8 hours sleep per day is very important. Right? Then during the day, just take a nap, even if it's just 30 minutes nap. Sleep is one of the ways you can relieve yourself of stress. So sleep, young men. Do you know that the rate of depression in men are higher than women? Because men, you like to prove, I'm a man. Or they say, be a man. Men don't cry. See, don't be a man. No.
So men can cry.
Yeah, men
should cry.
Men should cry. All right? Men should express their emotions. Release those chemicals in your body. All right? Now, men, you must understand that it is okay not to feel okay. It is okay not to feel okay. Right? When you are feeling, get help. Right? One of the things I encourage you is get a psychotherapist. Right? Talk to your medical doctor. Every family needs a therapist. See a professional. Just the same way when you are having malaria, you don't say you want to treat, or when you're having typhoid, you don't say you want to treat yourself. You go to the hospital. You get medical attention. The same way, when you don't feel good in your inside, you're feeling guilty. You're feeling hopeless. You're feeling overwhelmed. You can't coordinate yourself again. You're having intrusive thoughts. You can't even coordinate your thoughts again. It is time to get professional help. Get professional help. Right? So I that's that. So let's quickly go to anxiety. We all feel anxious, right? Let's say you are getting late to work, and you know that if you get late to work, you are going to get queried. You will definitely feel anxious. So anxiety is that feeling you get when you are probably about to go for an interview or write an exam. That feeling of apprehension, that feeling of rush, that feeling of hastiness. We feel that way once in a while, but it becomes a problem when you feel that way over many things and you can't even control it. Or when you feel that way for a long time, it now becomes we call it anxiety disorder. And there are different anxiety disorders. Because of time, I will not be able to go into them in depth. We have what we call the generalized anxiety disorder. We have obsessive compulsive disorder. The generalized anxiety disorder is the feeling of anxiety over a wide variety of things for most days, for a long period of time. You just keep feeling anxious. You feel worried. And that thing is, the next one is the obsessive compulsive disorder. You have ongoing, unwanted, or intrusive thoughts that is making you, engage in some rituals. You see someone at any little thing, she wants to go and wash her hand. And this whole thing started because of the anxiety of COVID.
Wow.
Right? It's called obsessive compulsive disorder. You begin to become obsessed with a certain ritual. You see someone that is driving, the other driver they brought to me, and anytime he's driving, he's always looking at the side mirror. Compulsively. It's a mental health disorder. Right? And when you begin to notice this thing, you need to get professional help quickly. Panic disorder. You had an armed robbery attack. You experienced armed robbery attack some years ago. Maybe around 2 a.m. Anytime it's 2 a.m. like this, you can't sleep again. Your heart starts pounding. As if you are experiencing that thing again. Sometimes it's accidents. People, they had accidents. Accident happened to them, let's say, 13 years ago. And anytime they are on the road, see their heart pounding. Or anytime they pass through that road, their heart begins to pound. They begin to have palpitation. Panic attack could also be, okay, that's not even, that's post-traumatic stress. Panic attack would be, you have an interview. All of a sudden, you can't take your body begins to shake. Your heart begins to pound. You are running to the toilet to start vomiting. People have that kind of attack. When you're looking at like, I don't know. Why? Actually, it's a common thing.
I know that people do
that,
but
so panic disorder, people have panic. We call it panic attack. Now the problem is this. When I was younger, I didn't know about these things, and I was having panic disorders, and I thought I had a heart problem. I can remember being on that ECG machine. Even medical doctors didn't know. They took me to all kinds of tests. They found out that this guy, nothing is wrong with your heart. Your heart is beating well. Why is it my heart? They took me one guy. My heart was I couldn't read. I couldn't go to school. My heart, I was not okay. It was panic. It was the mental health disorder. And many people have this type of experiences. So people having panic issues.
So in a way, you're speaking from experience.
Yes. I used to be seriously anxious. You become to a point your chest will so be tightened. You can't even breathe well. And it's just anxiety.
So that's panic disorder.
Panic disorder. And when it's reoccurring itself, we have social phobia, fear of driving, fear of heights, fear of this. Unreasonable fears. Sorry, we are saying unreasonable, but when we look at it, when you look at that, unreasonable fears, fear of darkness. Once you are in the dark, you start to shake. It's a mental health issue. And the earlier you attend to this, the better. We have post-traumatic stress. You lost your dad. Maybe someone they brought to me, the father died in her hands. And she has not been able to recover from that shock. So that's post-traumatic stress. There are different ways people. So these are anxiety disorders, and the earlier you pay attention to this, the better. I tell people that don't get to a point where you need to see a psychiatrist. By that time, your case may be a sorry case, because many a times people live on those medications for life. People that live on a particular injection because anytime they stop it, they relapse. Don't wait until that time. And that's why we encourage you, start to take your mental health seriously. Nigerians and Africans have this culture. Until you break down, you will not seek help. Even for when you are having simple things as typhoid, until you come to a point, you won't seek help. But if you do that one for your mental health, once your mind begins to have issues, you put yourself as a great risk. Because once your mind begins to malfunction, or what we call it dysfunction, if you are not careful, you may, whenever you are off those medications, you relapse. And that's why we encourage you to start seeing these simple signs. Get professional help, right? Take your rest, sleep, right? Manage. So there are symptoms of anxiety. We have your heart pounding, shortness of breath, dizziness, headache, dry mouth. You are having nausea. You are always vomiting. Any small thing you vomit. It could be that you're just anxious. Right, so it affects your psychology, affects your behavior. You feel anything to do, you're feeling irritated. You are so impatient. It could be a symptom of anxiety. So let's go to depression. What is depression? See, when you are sad does not mean you are depressed. Sadness is a common human experience. So many people come to me and like, Coach, I'm depressed. And some guys, I just used to play with them. I say, okay, so if I transfer 2 million in your account, what will happen to you now? Say, I'll be happy. I say, no, you're not depressed yet. What you are doing, you are just sad. Sadness is okay, right? Emotions are not bad. Emotions are just messengers. Every emotion has purpose. Sadness helps you, it happens with something. Right? It just shows that you've lost something. Anger, okay, let's say fear. Fear is an emotion to help you run away from danger. If a child is not afraid of touching a fire, the child will enter fire. So fear protects you from danger. That's the purpose of it. So fear is not bad in itself. Anger is a good emotion. Yeah. Anger helps you fight problems. If you get back home and you saw a young man from nowhere trying to touch your 6-year-old daughter, what would you do? Will you be smiling? You'll be angry. If you're not angry, you won't deal with that. Anger is a good emotion. It's when it has served its purpose and it's still there.
Okay.
That now becomes a problem. When it now becomes prolonged, or it becomes something that you cannot control again, that it takes over your logic. All right? That's when it becomes a problem. Okay? So the same way with sadness, right? Sadness is normal. So people have misused the word depression. Your team lost a football match, I am depressed. No, you are not depressed, you are sad.
Sad.
All right, so don't call forth what is not a problem. Depression is like a illness. It's like a mental illness, right? When it brings in an intense feeling of hopelessness and despair to a point where you cannot take part in a normal day. So although depression shows up in some people, last year they had a record of a DJ that evening the guy partied and that evening he committed suicide. So it doesn't show on the face. You see medical doctors committing suicide, rich men committing suicide. It does not care. Color, depression is something that happens. So it's that when you come to a point where you feel hopeless, you feel despair, you feel sad to a point where you want to stay alone. Some people they start thinking about death. Then at that point you need professional help. You need to go and see a psychotherapist, a clinical psychologist, or a psychologist. You need to get help quickly, all right? Because of time, there are different types of depression, right? But I won't go into that now. But let's look at, okay, let me read this. Depression has many faces. Depression does not discriminate against race, against color, against creed, against religion, against sexual orientation. It attaches itself to anyone, no exception. But the depression isn't contagious, but it is a disease, just like cancer. But depression has a stigma. The only way we can help ourselves is to get rid of the stigma, right? Is to talk about it openly without shame. Especially men. Women even find it easily to talk about. But men, the ego, not just the ego, the way society has conditioned men, right? That if you talk about your mental health, you are weak. You're not weak. It takes even strength for you to open up, right? Opening up is a sign of courage, right? Hold to your emotions and open up, speak up. The rate of depression and suicide among men is rising. It's even 3 times that of women globally. And it is said globally that every 40 seconds someone is committing suicide. I don't say it can't happen to me. It can happen to anybody. If I remove some chemicals out of your body now, you'll be depressed. There's some hormones that are removed in your body now, you'll be depressed. There are some things you take, some food you start eating now. It's fasting, wasting your. It can happen to anybody.
Who do you speak up to at that point?
So at that point, there are in Nigeria there are NGOs that you can just go online, like NGOs, mental health NGOs. You see a lot of them. We have Mentally Aware Nigeria, where you can talk to people, someone for free. See a psychotherapist for free. Why there are some hospitals that have clinical psychologists, but you need to pay.
What about people around you at that time?
People around you,
open up
you can open up to people who are your friends that you trust, people that will not judge you. Because the reason why many people don't talk is because they don't want to be judged. So like I said, psychotherapy, people pay me just to talk to me. Because they understand this person will not judge me. Number 2, this person will not open my nyash. This person will not expose me.
Censored.
Censored. So, but Islamic will understand. Nigerian understand. This person will not confidentiality.
Yeah.
So not that I tell you my problem and I'm hearing it.
So that's why we have psychotherapists.
Yes,
like
we have psychologists, we have professionals. Right now in Nigeria, we are raising up what we call listeners. People that are just trained to listen. Because many times, all you just need is someone that will hear you. You don't have that culture. In school, they teach you how to talk, but they don't teach you how to listen. Listening is a skill. And listening is even more important than talking. And that's a major gap in our society today. So you're not alone, right? Thousands of people suffer from depression. You're not alone. Sometimes all you just need to know. Some clients come to me and they're like, "Sir, am I the only one like this?" Just for them to know that they're not the only one in that situation gives them relief and hope. You are not alone. So let's look at signs of depression. Now, depression, you cannot say you are depressed until you are diagnosed. And so, depression, sense of depression, you have little or no pleasure in doing something you found interesting or pleasurable before. Or you are socially withdrawing yourself from people. It's a sign that you may be battling depression. For me, I used to be a serious football fan. When I battled depression, for almost 3 years, I lost interest in football. One of the reasons why depression is very dangerous, it erodes your passion. And by the time you even recover from depression, you may never recover from that. It's time for you to protect yourself. I used to be complete sports super sport when I was in secondary school. I buy it every day. I buy all the newspapers every day. When I battled depression, I couldn't watch football for years. I lost interest. So if you have something you used to be interested in before, all of a sudden you begin to lose interest, it could be that you are battling depression. If you see somebody that's always withdrawing himself, and depression is even reflecting itself in children now, you always want to be alone. It could be a sign that. So I tell people, when you see somebody that is withdrawing from you or they want to stay alone, don't say it's pride. Nigerian people say, that guy don't be pride. Yeah. No, it's not pride.
You hear that a lot.
It could not be proud. It may not be pride. It could just be that the person is dealing with things and the person. So depression, one of the major signs of depression is that withdrawal. I want to be alone. If you're always feeling sad, down, worthless, hopeless, you just feel worthless. It could be a sign that you're battling depression. If it's a when it's every time, for the past 3 weeks, you'll be feeling that way. It could be that you're battling depression. And depression is so sickly. You may be depressed, you may even know, because there are different dimensions of depression. Until something hits you hard, then you know that there's a problem, right? So if you're feeling tired, you can't stand for too long. It could not be that you're sick. It could be that you're battling depression. People that are depressed, they find it difficult to stand up for too long. All right? If you have poor appetite or you are overeating, it could be that you're battling depression. Right? If you're feeling bad about yourself, you're feeling guilty, always feeling guilty, it could be that you're battling depression. Right? Let me rush from there. Right? The other things are on the screen. So warnings of suicide, because I want to get somewhere before I round up. Warnings of suicide. Warning signs of suicide. If you see someone that is, or you're always hoping that something bad happens to you, you are driving just with, I wish accident would just happen now. It's a sign that you are suicidal. You are threatening. You see someone that is threatening to kill or hurt himself. Any small thing. Or you see someone that is always hurting himself. People call self-harm. These are signs. Or you are feeling trapped. Or your alcohol and drug use begin to increase. You are taking, you know what those things you take now. So it could be signs of suicide, right? You are writing, somebody that is always writing about death. Some children will be writing about death. Or will be engaging in risky activities. You see some people, you just risky activities, will go and climb one item and be playing, wishing. Those are signs of suicide. And please, you need to watch that about yourself. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your siblings. Pay attention. We don't want to lose people, right? We don't want to lose people. When people want to commit suicide, what they actually want to do, they don't want to end their life. They want to end the way they feel. But they now go and end their life to end how they feel. What you actually need is to stop how you are feeling. You feel worthless. You feel frustrated. The way to end that frustration is not by ending your life. What you need to end is the frustration that you feel. It's the hopelessness that you feel. Hope. Once you remove hope, hope has a lifespan. Hope is not a strategy. When you hope for something and you don't get it, that hope becomes your destruction. You're hoping to get married. And then you are 35, you're not married. You're hoping that by a certain age you should have settled financially, you're not married. That hope. If that hope is not gotten, that's one of the things we tell people to maintain their mental health. Set realistic expectations. Realistic goals. Don't tell yourself, before I am 30, I want to build my house. How realistic is that you're just 29 and you don't have a job? Realistic expectations is very important, right? So why is this very important? We live in a VUCA world, like I was saying yesterday. I was discussing with you yesterday. We live in a VUCA world. What do I mean VUCA? VUCA, V stands for volatility. The world is changing very fast. Before you close your eyes and open it, in a positive way and a negative way, iPhone 12 is already out. And so people cannot even afford iPhone 8. The world is getting too fast. Imagine, who would have thought that the whole world would be in lockdown? Who would have thought? So there's the story of a woman. For the past 7 years, she and her husband, the husband went to the US 7 years ago. And she and her husband, they've been working towards moving herself and her children to the US. All of a sudden, Donald Trump said, he doesn't want Nigerians to go to the US again. Imagine something you've been hoping for the past 7 years.
7 years.
All of a sudden, a change happens. It hits you hard. That is the reality of things now. Changes are happening. You can't even predict what's going to happen next. And that's why people are getting stressed. People are getting depressed. People are getting anxious. Mental health issues are rising. Because change is happening. And your brain, your mind is not designed to accept change easily. Your mind actually fights change. And because of that resistance, it breaks you down. And that's the reason why we are coming to you. Vanessa FC is coming to you to tell you that you need to manage your mental health. You need to pay attention. You need to become stronger. I'm going there quickly. I want to get there before I round up. So, and that thing is, the world is getting complex. Complexities in the workplace. Today, men don't know who they are again. Who is a man? What's the role of your husband? People don't know. Anything can happen. Complexities. If you want to apply for visa now, you say male, female, hetero, homo. Complex. Complexities in the workplace, in the marketplace. To make money now is becoming more difficult. All right, the word is becoming more ambiguous. The word is becoming more uncertain, and that's the reason why. And that thing is, bad things happen to good people. We know bad things happen to bad people, but also bad things also happen to good people. People come to my office and like, coach, I used to pray. I'm a good person. I'm a good guy. Why would this thing happen to me? It is called life. Oh, I'm serious on my work. I'm a hard worker. Why will I lose my job? It is called life. People lose their job. It's called life. People lose their houses. It's called life. Look at the recent happening where shops were looted. Does it mean those odd people that they are looted, they are bad? They're not bad people. But that's life. Life happens. Right? It's called life. And that is why you need to develop mental strength. At this point, one of the most important skills you need is what we call, it's called resilience. Because you cannot pray away these challenges. You go to mosque, you go to church, and you are praying. No, you can't pray the way these challenges will come. The prayer point should be that you get strength to survive, to thrive. Right? And that's why we are coming to you today. We are saying that your heart must not be heavier than your brain. Your feeling must not be heavier than your thinking. Because if you don't prepare, you will despair. If you don't prepare for the challenges ahead, we have seen 2020, you see what happened. If you don't prepare for the next coming years, you are going to despair. See, life is not going to get easier. You are the one that will get stronger. Don't forget what I just said now. Life is not going to get easier. You are the one that will get stronger. And that's why we have come to challenge you this today. Whether it's morning or afternoon in your place. We have come to challenge you that it's time to train your brain. It's time to develop your mental strength. Because the days coming ahead might be difficult. Your life is not going to get easier. The way the world was, George, the way the world was when you were 12 years old, and now, which one is easier? Your life when you were 12 years old, now, which one is easier?
That time,
That time is easier.
Yes, sir.
Life is not going to get easier. It's going to get. So the reason why your life will become easier is because you will become stronger. It is time for you to build mental strength. So my question to you today is, how prepared are you? How prepared are you for the volatility that is coming? The disruption that is coming. Change will happen all of a sudden. You plan that your life will go this way. All of a sudden, something happened to me some years ago. I was in a relationship. All of a sudden, this guy just break your heart. It comes anyway. See people that lose their business.
Wow.
Anyway, shocking things. And it comes. It's even said scientifically that you are either 4 months into a crisis or you just came out of a crisis. Life is full of crises.
Wow.
Right?
You see that heartbreak? It's rampant. Man.
Seriously.
And it's crazy.
Seriously, different issues. So, and that's why we have come to it. That's why we brings us to a point where we call resilience. Resilience. You want to be mentally healthy, you have to develop resilience. Because the life is coming. When life happens to you, are you going to bend or are you going to break? Because life will happen to all of us. Crises will come. Difficulties will come. But are you going to break or are you going to bend? That's the concept of resilience. When you throw a ball on the floor, a basketball, what happens to the ball? The ball bounces back. And that's the concept of resilience. When life throws you down, your ability to bounce back. When you feel anxious, you feel sad, you feel frustrated, your ability to bounce back from that frustration. Your ability to bounce back from sadness, to bounce back from disappointment, to bounce back from frustration, from trauma. Bounce back. That's the concept of resilience. Resilience is your ability to bounce back from the difficulties of life. Go read has happened. People lost their jobs, lost their businesses, lost loved ones, lost a lot of things. The question is, how are you going to bounce back? Developing this capacity and practicing bouncing back. Somebody said, it's not the number of times that you fall. It's the number of times that what? You rise again.
Rise.
And that's what you need now. You want to develop resilience, develop your ability to bounce back. And not just bounce back easy, fast. Because the longer you stay in that state, the more difficult it becomes to come out. Right? Look at this picture. Look at this. I want to show you a screen. This is the picture of a young plant growing on a difficult soil. That depicts resilience. Your a part of your life is struggling, you don't allow it to affect every other part. Oh, at work, your boss is giving you stress. Because of that, you now went home and go and destroy your children. You transfer the aggression on your children. Resilience is that you understand that when one part of your life is struggling, it doesn't mean that every other part of your life is struggling. That's resilience, right? So that's resilience. So let's look at a definition of resilience, a more concise definition of resilience. So resilience is your ability to adapt well to change and keep going and want to be mentally healthy, you must develop resilience. All right. So because we are young people, let's give us a modern day definition of resilience: advancing despite adversity, pushing despite adversity. Your ability to go on, to grow, to bounce back. You could call it bounce back ability. But you know what? In Nigeria, I tell people that bouncing back is not enough. You have to bounce back and bounce forward. You can bounce back from that trauma and not go forward. But it's because life doesn't get easier. You are the one that will get stronger. Build mental resilience, emotional strength. Right? Now let's look at some because of time, let's look at some characteristics of resilient people. Resilient people set goals with realistic expectations. You cannot, when you see, you put yourself at a risk when you are setting goals that are not realistic. So you ask a student now that, where do you see yourself in the next 2 years? He's a student who he's saying that in the next 2 years, I want to unrealistic expectations. So one of the ways you can be developing is to start setting goals, be realistic. Right? Set real goals. And the way you can be, you need to know what is happening around you. Setting goals, and that's you need to develop your self-esteem. Self-esteem, how your self-worth. Resilient people learn from their mistakes. When you make mistakes, you don't start putting yourself down. You don't start judging yourself. I tell people you have to be more compassionate on yourself. People are not compassionate to themselves. You are so hard on yourself. You are so difficult on yourself. You have to, instead of being difficult, learn from your mistakes. Resilient people, I'm rounding up now. Resilient people have self-control. They have optimistic thinking. When I mean optimistic thinking, let me tell you something. In life, there will always be negatives. But your ability to always focus on the positive and negative is very, very powerful. Right? Resilient people know ability to recognize and control their emotions, right? So there's a lot to talk about. So resilience is your ability to survive, adapt, recover, and thrive. Yes, what has happened has happened. How are you going to survive? then how are you going to adapt? Then how are you going to thrive? And how are you going to recover? Resilience. Resilience, you need to develop emotional intelligence. You need to learn how to manage your energy. You need to know how to build connection, support system. You need to know how to manage your perspective. And you need to learn how to live a life of purpose, a life of values, a life based on your values. And you need to be aware of your strengths. All right, so because of time, we have to close here. But I trust that you have learned a lot. So, okay, we're not closing yet. I have to end here. I want to entertain your question. All right. So I will entertain your questions when we come back. But we want to go on a short break. And when we come back, we're going to entertain your questions.
Okay.
So I want you to ask your questions, right? Pull from us. Ask your questions. We are here to serve you.
All right. All right. So we'll take a break. And when we come back, it seems that, you just put some finishing touches, and so that we can have at least 20 minutes to take your questions. We see your questions coming in already. Please send on all our respective platforms, especially Facebook, which is Vandreza Football Club, and YouTube. All right, the same address as well. This is still the Mental Health Awareness Seminar right here on Vandreza Television. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.